Hey everyone, welcome to Our Small Footprint. My name is Nyssa. If you're new here, we are a family of 7 living off-grid in Australia. It is Monday morning, so I'm getting started for the week on a few different tasks. So this is the start of one of my, meal prep, planning, preserving type videos. First thing I'm going to do this morning is I'm going to fill the dehydrator with spinach. So we got a box of spinach from the Aberdeen food pantry hamper, and I'm going to do a dehydrator full with the intent to be able to powder it to use in those instant soups that I'm going to make. We got more than we can use, so this seems to be a good way to just use it. I might freeze some to use in things where it doesn't matter about the texture as well. I am planning to make some sausage rolls today, probably as well, tomorrow, so I might mince some up with the meat because that'll work fine in there. So it will be pork, bacon, spinach type sausage roll things, so I'm going to do that, but first I'm just going to get the dehydrator full as the start of the day task. So I'm just going to use these, and I'm pretty much just going to put these should dry really quick. And I'm using the Bench Foods dehydrator that was gifted to me, which I am really loving. I actually have a discount code for it, and I keep on forgetting to put anything in the comments, but in the description I need to follow that up with them. But I am really, really happy with it. It is working. It is so quick, I think, because of the way the fan is over the whole back of it, rather than all the ones that I've had previously that have had the fan just hasn't hit all the trays at the same time. So I'm basically going to load the trays up and run it and see how it goes, and I will adjust if necessary. But I reckon that these will, I don't know, when they're touching, but they're going to shrink so much that I reckon I could spread it out. So I might load them up, but I'll be a little less generous with how much is on here. I don't really want to sit here and spread them out single layer though, because it is just so much work, and I just think that this spinach will dry up really quick. So I'm going to test it out like this, and you can all say it's when you're watching this video, you can all sit here yelling at me that's never going to work, and I'll find out later in the video, won't I? So I'm just going to load up the trays, load them up, and get it going and see what happens. I actually decided while I've got the spinach out, what I might do is make some pesto. So I'm going to use some cashew spinach pesto. I bought some Parmesan cheese, and I might sometimes I do the batches without cheese and I do it with the nutritional yeast instead, but I did buy the Parmesan and the kids have been tolerating mostly. So I've got roasted salted cashews here, which I'm going to use, but I'm going to warm them a little bit just to make them blend better. I'm going to do it in my Thermomix. So I'm warming up the cashews a bit just to make them blend easier. Okay, and then we're going to do everything else. So I'm not sure how much, so I'm doing 240 odd grams of cashews, which you would do to 240 odd grams of spinach, but I don't think I will fit. I probably will just do 120 at a time because we have to fit it all into the Thermomix, right? So, and I know this will break down, but that's a full bowl at 120. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to say, so a juice from a lemon is about 30 grams. I'm going to do 30 grams of lemon juice. We're going to put some garlic in there. One of these really nice, big, mild. I might do 2 of them because they are mild. They're big, but they have that really mild sort of a flavour to them. So I might do 2. 1, 2, and I'll do about half the amount of spinach and cashews in Parmesan. So we'll do 120 spinach, 120 cashews, and about 60 of Parmesan. 2 big garlic cloves, and about juice of a lemon. So about 30 grams of lemon juice. And we will need probably about the same amount of olive oil as the other stuff. So, the 120 odd grams maybe. We'll start a bit lower and we'll move up as needed. So let's start with 60 odd grams of that. I went over a bit. And then 120 odd of these, which I got a little toasty. And my olive oil is under here. So let's start off with 100. And then we'll add a bit more if needed. Alright, that was 15 seconds, speed 10. I'm going to scrape it down to get some of the lumps out, but it is pretty much done as is. Let's see if I can get the camera to look in there. There we go, a bit better lighting. So it's pretty much the right texture as is. I could possibly even push a bit more spinach in that, I reckon, but so I might just add so what did we put in? We had 120, so that's 150, 170. That ended up being about 200 grams of spinach. Let's see what that looks like. There's another 10 seconds with that added in. We'll have a look at the texture. Yeah, it's a little bit, it was a little bit loose originally. It's a little bit thicker this time. And that is tasty. It doesn't have the basil hit, and we love the basil hit. And I did think about the fact that maybe I would make up a big batch of this, open one of the jars of basil pesto that we have, mix it through, and then it's got still that bit of basil, but it's got all that spinach flavour in it instead. But that works really well. So I'm going to grab, I'm probably going to freeze it. I can put it in a jar and store it in the fridge if you put a little layer of oil over it, and it will last for quite a while. But I can't see us going through it very quickly, and I might make a big batch of it because I've got all the stuff here to do it. I might end up using most of this thing of Parmesan. I was going to use that for a couple of things, but it really doesn't matter. And freeze it for usage, maybe in the pesto jars that we buy, just making sure there's headspace on them because that's how much we normally use. So I might just transfer it all to a bowl to start with. I was going to defrost a chicken, and you can have pesto pasta with chicken for dinner.
Oh,
Yeah?
You mean spinach pasta?
Well, yes. It tastes like it's still pesto. It just has a bit of a
spinach flavor.
well, just it's lacking the basil flavor. That's all. But as I said, we can probably mix a basil through it to give a little bit.
It's like mayonnaise. It doesn't need anything else. This tastes pretty nice.
You like it?
Yeah. Oh, you have to taste. That tastes pretty good. It's also a bit spicy for some.
It's got garlic in it.
Sorry?
It's got raw garlic in it. So everyone seems to like this. So I'm just going to make a few more batches. I'm going to get it all in a bowl, and then I'll decide how I'm going to store it. So I'm just going to repeat the process. So I've probably used over half the box, which is great. So we've got like, I don't know, they were like 500 gram lots, so maybe 2 kilos of spinach pesto here that I have to sort out. And then I've got the dehydrated full, which is already shrinking rapidly. So I'm going to open that up. Actually, I might pull trays out and so it's already shrinking rapidly and feeling semi-crispy. So I'm just going to spread some of them out because it's definitely dehydrating at different rates because I didn't, do it all flat, but I think it'll be fine. I'm just going to let it go. I think it should be fine. Some are just going to be a little crispier than others. It's just spinach that's dehydrating it. It's not very well dehydrated yet, right?
It tastes good.
So I'm just going to let it go, and that's only been an hour. So I'm pretty happy with that so far. All right, so we've gone through about half the box of spinach, maybe a little over, which I think is a pretty good deal. And it's still really nice and fresh and crisp. And these boxes work really well in our fridge that runs slightly colder than the average fridge. So I'm just going to put this all back in the fridge for the moment. I'm going to ask one of the kids to take it up to the fridge for me. And I will probably use it for some of those sausage rolls that I was talking about, but I don't think I'll do the sausage rolls today, not with whatever else I've started doing. The pork roasts still have a couple of 3 or 4 days left on their date, so they will be fine. I'll do them probably tomorrow. We've got all this pesto to sort out. So the kids requested pesto pasta for dinner tonight, so I'll defrost some chicken to have that with it. I used to make these roasted potatoes with a pesto on them. I can't remember how I did it. I'm gonna have to look it up, but we've got a whole bunch of potatoes, so I might do that with some of that with that. So I might just store this in the fridge for the moment, put a little bit of drizzle of oil over the top, put one of those silicone covers on it, and use it tonight and tomorrow, and then get sorted in the freezer. But we've ended up with about 2 kilos of pesto here, which is pretty good. I did have checked the dehydrator. I've actually turned it down slightly. I had it running at its default, which is 71, and I've turned it down to 65 because it has only been an hour, and there's some of them are starting to get really nice and crispy, and I know that part of that's my fault because I didn't spread them out as well as I could have, but I'm okay with that. So some are going to be a little more cooked than others, quicker, but that's fine. So it's looking really good. It's already starting to completely reduce, and taking that temperature down means it might do it a little bit more evenly. I did scrape this out, but there's still a lot of pesto left in here, so I think I'm going to make a batch of mayo in this, and they can have that with whatever, but pesto mayo is always really nice, and that way I can scrape this into the mayo and make it just pesto mayo. So I don't make mayo in my Thermomix very often just because I have to have a clean bowl. It's easier to make it in my jug with an immersion blender, but I can. So that's what I think I will do next. And I don't know where else I'm going from there, but that's it for the moment. Mayo in the Thermomix is super simple, same as everything. We've got 3 egg yolks, a bit of lemon juice, a bit of mustard, a bit of cowboy candy, same as I normally would. And then we're going to turn it on to 3, blend that up a little bit, and then we're going to drizzle the olive oil in slowly. Now, if you leave the cap on, it has a few spots where it will allow the oil to drizzle through the cap, so you can just pour it in the lid and it will drizzle through the cap into below at a slow rate. So if you don't want to stand there and manually drizzle it, so it lets it go through slowly. So you can just pour it in the top. You can pre-measure your oil to how much you'd use, but I never know exactly the weight of the oil that I use. I just use it. So I tend to just pour it till the sound changes and then double check it, add some more if need be, or I take the lid off and I just manually pour it so I can see what it's doing when it's doing it. It's personal preference, but yeah, so speed 3, put your egg yolks and everything in the bottom, and then just pour your oil. I think the recipe on the cookie dough says to measure out like 250 grams of oil, and then you know how much oil you need to use, which makes sense, but I haven't done that. So we're just going to let it run through, same as I would with the immersion blender. And there you go, we've got a spinach pesto mayo. So I could add a bit more oil, keep on going to get it to a bit thicker, but I think I'm going to leave it there because I'm just not sure what I'm using it for. So if I keep on adding oil, it will emulsify thicker, but then you can get to the point where you accidentally break it the other way. So, and with the Thermomix, I just can't see it as well as I can in my jars that I use. So I'm just going to leave it at that point because that's a good point to leave it at. So there we go. We got spinach mayo as well, made up with the leftover pesto that was in there, which will go in the fridge too. Actually, I changed my mind again. So Lynn sent me some more of these freezer pods, which are amazing. These ones appear to be Coles brand, and they're 250ml cavities. So a cup worth of size in each one. I was looking at this and thinking about how much olive oil I would need to put over the top to keep it green in the fridge. Not that the green is really an issue. If it goes brown, who cares? But at the same time, I'm sitting there going, and that seems silly when I'm going to end up freezing it anyway. So I pulled these out. I think I've got more of them. I've found these 3 easy anyway. And I'm going to put these in the freezer. So these will be like a 1 cup portion. Now the jars of pesto that we use are like 190 grams or something. So 1 cup is like a 250 is fine. I might grab a scoop of some sort to make my life a bit easier though. And I'm just going to, now because this is nice and thick, the layer of olive oil over the top still will do a fine layer because it does help it to keep its color. And because I left the pesto nice and thick, it means that that little bit of olive oil when it's defrosted isn't going to make it, you know, super runny. So I'm going to get these fairly full because I made a lot and I need to get it stored, and having a larger serve of pesto when you're having pesto is not a bad thing. So, you know. So I'm going to get these cups nice and full. Alright. And we want them nice and level, because if we're going to pour olive oil over them, then we don't want it to pool at the edges. We want it to pool over the whole surface area. It's probably not necessary. Honestly, it's probably not necessary, especially if I throw these straight in the chest freezer where they'll freeze really nice and quick. I think I'm going to skip it. I think I'm just going to top them up, and if I top them up nice and full, they should have contact with the lid as well, which should help with that oxidization anyway, because that's all it is the olive oil helps with the oxidization. Different if you're storing it in the fridge, it helps with keeping it longer too, but in the freezer all it's going to do is help with the oxidization, which is the green going black because of contact with air, basically. I know there's more to it than that. It does have a fair bit of lemon juice in it, which does help it as well. Stop doing that, but it still does. If you've ever stored pesto open in a fridge, you know when you open it, that top layer looks kind of grey. Just doesn't look quite as nice as the rest of it. So that's all, you know. Really, it's just aesthetics. So because I've got them nice and full though, they should come into, see, they've come into contact a lot with that lid. So I think I'm just going to leave that, and we will deal with the colour change if that's what happens. So there we go. So that's 6 cups of pesto, and we've still got a fair bit to go. So let me see what else I've got that I can use and get these in the freezer. Found another one. So this is what these ones look like. Coles Cook and Dine, 250ml by 2 compartments. I definitely like this sizing. I do have the blue Kmart ones that have 3 cavities in them, but they're all being used at the moment. Let me just give this a rinse. They all currently have frozen fruit in it. And yes, I could pull the frozen fruit out and put it in Ziploc bags and move it around and stuff, but I really just couldn't be bothered. And I think that this will be enough once I do this. May even be a bit too much used. Let me see what we've got here, because I want some for dinner tonight. And so I'm going to fill a jar. This is probably a double serve. It's more 350 odd grams versus the 190 that so I've got a full jar there to use. And then we'll top these off with whatever's left to whatever full they get, and we'll use them accordingly. And then I don't have to worry about this again. That was the goal, was to I was going to put it aside for another day and then have to worry about it on another day, but instead I did the right thing. I did the adult thing and did it all at once. Yay me. So there we go. I'm making a mess, but you know, that's normal in my kitchen. Another one to go in the freezer with the others, and then I'll get now this one I'm going to put in the fridge. So I'm going to put a thin layer of olive oil on top, which will work well in the pasta dish anyway. Put a lid on that, and that can store in the fridge. All right, clean lid for that one, in the fridge, in the freezer, and we're done. All right, been tied up inside for the rest of the day. It's now 3 o'clock. I'm going to quickly make the keto cheesecakes that Darryl and I really like, and he has been asking for. Can you take that over to the sink, please? And he has been asking for, and I just have not had the time to make. So I'm going to do them today for him, and I need to get that spinach out of the dehydrator as well. So I've got 4 tablespoons of butter here that I'm going to melt when I find the lighter. And I'm going to make the bases. So we use these little individual ones. I've got 6 of them here, and I'm pretty sure that's what I managed to spread this out to last time. So I'm going off the same ratios that I did last time over the 6, which is about 1.5 cups of almond meal. We're being super precise here, as you can see. About 1.5 cups of almond meal, and then some sweetener. I've got the naturally sweet monk fruit erythritol blend, Australian, highly recommended if you buy sweetener. Great customer service. I really enjoy using them. I normally have a code, but I think the last one I had ran out. So if someone's interested in it, let me know and I'll get another one for you. 1.5 cups with about 3 to 4 tablespoons of sweetener in the bottom there. We're going to do the melted butter and we're going to do some vanilla. So a teaspoon of vanilla in there as well. And then we're just going to get this to melt completely. Doesn't take much heat to melt butter. Just like that. Pour that in. And this will be our base. So we're just going to mix that all together till it's into a push-inable, sort of a biscuity mix almost. Now I'm going to line all my tins, just folding it into squares so that we've got a square for each base of the tins. I don't bother with the sides, just do the bases. Just like that. Just line the bottoms of the tins like that. Being cheesecake, it pulls away from the sides as it cooks anyway, so this having it lined on the sides is not necessary. Right, 6 trays lined. Now we need to put the biscuit base in each one because we're going to bake the biscuit base off first. So all I'm going to do, I should have weighed what this ended up being and then I could know how much weight would go into each tin, but I didn't. And now I'm sort of going to have to guess, which is fine. We'll just put a scoop in each and then we'll have a go at, so we're just going to push this down into the base. It doesn't have to be any huge base, it just makes it feel very much like that New York baked cheesecake if it's got a base on it. So I much prefer, we did try the ones without a base, but I much prefer the ones with a base. So it doesn't have to be much, just a layer that covers the whole bottom of the pan is enough. So we should have plenty here. And then we'll just bake it for 10 minutes just to crisp it up a little bit before, and give it a bit of a skin, I suppose, on it before we add the cheesecake ingredients. Alright, so I'm happy with that. There's a layer in the bottom of each one. So we're going to bake those. I'm just going to wash my hands. So I put all the tins on a baking tray just to make life easier later. So all 6 of the tins go on here. I did try the water bath method, like having the tins in a water bath to cook, but we much prefer them just open. So that's how we've been doing them. So they're going to go in the oven. Just for 10 minutes. All right, now next step is to make the actual cheesecake. So we have Thermomix because I use my Thermomix for everything all day, every day. Can't recommend them enough. And they still have that really, I'll do my thing here. They still have that really good deal on the 6s. This is a 6. The 7s are coming out in June. Up until then, you can buy a 6 and get $1,000 worth of free extras, like the cutters, an extra bowl, blade, lid set and things like that. But they also have a promotion on at the moment. They're doing a trade up. So if you own a 31, a 5 or a 6 and you want a new 6 with all the extras, you can trade in your old one for $680 off the purchase price of a new one, which brings it down to $18.99. So $18.99 for a brand new 6 plus all the extras, the cutter, the grater, the spiralizer, the extra bowl blade lid set, the blade cover, peeler, a glider board, like all those things. So if anyone hasn't heard of that or is interested in that, feel free to reach out. But anyway, I use my Thermomix every day for many dozens of things. So next step is going to be the cream cheese insides. So we're going to start off with 700 grams of cream cheese. Look at my scales. All right, 675. 700. So we had 700 grams of cream cheese, and then we're going to add to that the sweetener. So we're going to use around about 3/4 of a cup of sweetener. I don't know what this measurement is. It's about 1/4 of a cup by the looks of it. So 1/4, half, 3/4 of a cup of sweetener. But again, we're using the naturally sweet monk fruit erythritol blend. It's just my favorite, easy to access, inexpensive when you talk the costs of sweeteners. Sweetener of choice. So we're going to mix that up first. And then we're going to add some sour cream. So we want 1/2 cup of sour cream. This is another one I really need to transpose into weights, isn't it? I haven't got there yet. So 1/2 cup of sour cream in there as well. And then we're going to add the eggs one at a time while it's mixing. Heaping spoonful of vanilla. Just going to get a bit of the air pocket ends up building up in the middle sometimes when it's doing hard to blend stuff, and it's still a little bit lumpy, so we're still going to keep going. Alright, so we've got this lovely, smooth cheesecake inner. Now sometimes I add some lemon juice because I like it a little bit citrusy. Sometimes I don't. It's up to you. You can also add a bit of like cocoa here if you wanted it chocolatey. You could add a bit of instant coffee here to make it sort of coffee, but Darryl really likes it just plain. So that's what I'm going to do because it's more for his benefit than anything else. I eat it, of course, but he really loves these. So I'm going to just leave it as is, I think. And I'm just going to finish baking the bases. Get everything else put in the fridge. Let me just get this bit of vanilla off this spoon so it's not wasted. And then I will come back. This pan appears to be slightly bowed, which doesn't bode well for flat cheesecake. So I might grab a different pan. I hadn't thought 6 would fit on here, but they do. So we've got our 6 bases here, sitting as square as I can make them. These 2 are sitting up a little bit because that one's got a bend in it, but it'll be fine. That one is too, actually, isn't it? Let's spin so all the buckles are to the outside and see if that helps to make enough space. It should be fine. We're not going for perfection. This is for eating. So, you know. All right, so we've got that. Now, realistically, I should let these cool for a bit, but I've got stuff to do. So I'm going to put some in each pan. Now, I think I say this every time I do it, that I feel like there's far too much filling for this amount of things, but this is what I've got written on my notes. So, not that, you know, it's not outside the purview that I didn't update my notes, because, you know, we know that happens. But let's see how we go. So it's all making contact in the bottom, somewhat evenly surfaced on the top, but, you know, as I said, this is for eating, not for perfection, not for, you know, but I should, you know, have more faith in my notes, because this looks near perfect, doesn't it? Quantity wise. So just getting the last of it out, topping up any that are a bit lower than others, and they look pretty good. So you want to leave room for these to rise, because they're a baked cheesecake, and because we're not doing them with the water bath, they do rise a little bit and then they fall, which is, I think, why we like them better. The texture on them is preferred to the ones that don't rise and fall. So, you know, we're fans of Basque cheesecake too, and you can do a keto version of that, but I tried this at one point and it just happened to be one of Darryl's favourites, so this is what we've stuck with. So I'm just going to get it as evenly smooth on top as possible using my hands like everyone hates, but just like that. And then we're good. Now they're just going to go in the oven. Now they will take sort of 45 minutes probably. They take quite a while. I've turned the oven down to about 160 as well, because we want to cook them low and slow for up to an hour. So it's now 3:30, so this will be good timing. These should come out around about the time that I need to put the chicken in for dinner, so that's the plan anyway. So let's get these back in the oven. I was going to say, and then I'll be back, but I really need to do that spinach too, don't I? I need a jar. Alright, I have a jar. Let me just flip my board to the clean side. Alrighty, jar. Now, let's have a look at what we have here. I'm losing pieces as I'm going. There is still a few that are a little bit soft because of the way I did it, but it was hard to tell when it was still hot. So I'm actually thinking I'm going to turn this back on for another sort of 45 minutes while those cheesecakes are cooking, I think. It's still sunny enough, and just get those last few bits dried. So now I'll be back. So I'm going to put that, about another 45 minutes, similar sort of time as the cheesecakes, just on the 65 degrees, and hopefully that'll just take the last little bit of softness out of those few that are a bit soft. And as I said, it's my own fault for having them layered up like they are, but it did only need to run for like 2.5 hours to get it predominantly dry. So I don't think it's really that big a deal. I think I'll probably just turn it off a bit soon. So other than that, the cheesecakes are in. I'm going to go back to helping put furniture together, and then I'll be back. All right, cheesecakes need about another 5 minutes, but I've come out. So the spinach has been on for another hour, and it's all nice and crispy. So if you want to eat them, yes. Weird children. The plan is to powder it for the soup mixes and stuff. It's less supposed to be a snack, but you know, my children are weird.
We're not weird. We're Caleb.
So all I'm going to do is get it all onto all into the jars. Now, it's falling apart as I do it. I probably need to put some paper down. My, expensive baking paper. And then that way anything that falls through the mesh I can pick up as well. But it all feels pretty good, so I'm just going to get it all in the jar, and then I'll probably crumple it in the jar to fit it all in, I think. Alright, once I crush it up a bit, it ends up being about half jar. Now we don't want that much headspace on a jar because it's not good for dehydrated goods to have that much gap in the jar when they're freshly done. So we're just going to transfer it over. We want enough room to condition it though, so there has to be enough room that we can shake the jar. which should be fine because we're breaking all those spinach pieces up into flakes, because the idea is, as I said, to use it in the instant soup. So there's plenty of room in there that once we get a lid on that, we can give it a shake and let the air flow through it and condition those. Lorcan's just drying me a lid for it. And then I need to get the cheesecakes out. So put these back in the dehydrator. Lid and ring, and then we condition dehydrated. So as I said on the other one with the other, what did we dehydrate? The mushrooms. You should give them a shake every day for a couple of days just to make sure that all the different pieces are being rotated through and there's no, you know, sections in there that are less dry than the rest. So this is a pint jar of dried spinach. If we use, like, you know, half a teaspoon in the instant soup mixes, I think that will work well. So that will go on the shelf for now.
Oh, so you're making instant soup. That's nice.
Alright, so these have been in for an hour. They've puffed up, they've cracked, they're set but jiggly. I think they're done. It's really hard to tell with these. But even when they're undercooked, they're still pretty tasty. So I'm going to put these aside and they will shrink away from the edges and collapse again as they cool. And I'm sure Darryl wants one tonight, but they're not as nice hot as they are cold. So we'll see. But I'm going to put them aside. Now I need to get the chickens out and put them in the oven. Alrighty, I've got 2 of the boneless chooks. So all I'm going to do is get them out on the trays. They are mostly defrosted. There is a few cool spots in them by the feel of it. Had them defrosting in the fridge. So just to make them cook a little quicker and more evenly, I'm going to cut them up. So just going to cut them into their quarters. And cut the breasts into quarters as well, just to give it a bit of a quicker cook time. There we go. I'm just going to stick that in the oven for the next 40 odd minutes. Alright, for dinner the kids are going to have their pesto pasta. So there is penne being cooked. We've got a bowl, we've got 3 egg yolks, we've got some cowboy candy, some nutritional yeast flakes, a drizzle of olive oil, though we've got a fair bit of oil in this. I'm going to grab a spoon, half of that in there, a splash, extra splash of oil, and I'm going to put a splash of lemon juice in, as well as just a pinch of salt. And then we will use the pasta to cook the sauce. So all that is mixed in, and now the heat of the pasta will cook this into a creamy sauce. So I'll show you that when I come back to it. So the sauce is cooked by the heat of the pasta. So the idea is that you need to put the pasta in, preferably not drained, because you want some of that hot water as well in there because it loosens up the sauce. So you want to add the pasta in and then stir it up to start cooking the eggs in that sauce. Alright, so we'll just add the rest of that in, and then we'll add the chicken. I already pulled it out of the oven and diced it up, so nice loose sauce, and then all the chicken in as well that's been diced up. And that's there. dinner for tonight. And Darryl and I will just have the other boneless chicken with a bit of butter, and he's cooking up some mushrooms to have with it. So I'll leave that there for tonight. Alrighty, it is, I don't know what day are we? We're Tuesday afternoon. And I haven't been in the kitchen all day. Darryl left early this morning to go to Toowoomba, and I've been doing stuff with the kids all day. I don't think I've even eaten today. I had coffee. But I defrosted this 2.5 kilo bag of tenders the other day. Well, I stuck them in the fridge to defrost. Some of it's still a little bit icy, but it's fine. And I'm going to marinate it all with the satay chicken marinade and turn this into satay chicken. So I use the Recipe Tin Eats base. That's what I base it on, which is done on 600 grams of chicken, and this is 4 times that. So we're going to go 4 times the amount. So it says 2 teaspoons per 600 grams. So I'd imagine we'll use pretty much this whole, I'm just going to use the whole tin, and I'll just go light on the satay sauce factor of it. It then uses a teaspoon of white sugar per 600 grams, so we're going to go 4 teaspoons. Can you find me a tablespoon? There's no tablespoon on here. 4-ish teaspoons of sugar.
What do you need it for?
The curry powder. And then it wants a tablespoon of curry powder per. Now this curry powder is quite strong. It's the Babbitt's meat curry, so I'll probably just do 2 heaped ones rather than 4.
Can I mix it?
Yep.
I just wash my hands, so.
And then just a bit of salt. And Sonnet's going to just mix it all through. Make sure you wash your hands properly afterwards because it's got curry paste in it too. And a 1/4 cup of coconut cream per 600 grams. So I'm going to just stick the whole lot in because it's around about probably closer to 2 cups, but we're going to mix it all into the rest of the meals anyway. Let's just wipe the thing off your hands and wash them and grab me a container to put it in the fridge, because this bowl doesn't fit very well in the fridge, but it's really good for mixing in because you've got more space. So Sonnet's going to grab me like one of the square containers or something once she's washed her hands, and we'll put it in that to go in the fridge for the moment, because it's already 4 o'clock. So probably only go in there for half an hour to an hour, but that's fine. But in the meantime, I will get some other stuff sorted. We'll do some rice and veggies and stuff with it. So just there is fine. So I'm just making sure that all the bits that were frozen have been opened up enough that they're all coming into contact with the marinade. This is one of my favorite things. It's really not everyone likes satay chicken, but I really like it. So every now and again, everyone just has to tolerate the fact that we're having satay chicken. So, alright. We're just going to transfer it into this for going in the fridge so that it's easier to put a lid on it and sort that out. And I'll scrape all the extra marinade as well. Alright, so we've got pesto left over after the pesto pasta last night. So I'm going to do some pesto roast potatoes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to steam these baby potatoes. I'm going to pull out the small ones. These came from the hamper, so I'm going to pull out small ones. I'm not going to cut them. I'm just going to steam them whole. And then once they're steamed, I'm going to smash them on the tray and we'll do pesto over them. So I'm just going to grab smallish ones out because there's a lot of little baby potatoes in here. This will be a good use for them. And I might even grab a bigger pot, because if we don't use them all tonight, they can go in the fridge and they can be smashed and roasted tomorrow for lunch if they want. Might just do that and then fill the bottom up. So I'm going to steam these so that they're soft, because roasting whole potatoes takes ages and I'm behind today, so we're going to steam these. Sonnet would like to do some sweet potato because we want to make brownies, so we may as well steam them as well while we're not doing anything, while we're waiting on the meat to marinate, these to steam and things like that. So I'll get these on the stove, and then if she wants to grab a couple of sweet potatoes, we'll get them peeled and cut up. Yep. And another steaming pot. So, alright, so we're just going to grab a couple of the sweet potatoes and all I'm going to do is what I normally do, roughly peel them. The pigs really enjoy the skins, so I don't feel bad about being rustic with the whole peeling of them, because the pigs enjoy the scraps. So just going to peel them. Do you want to find another big steaming pan, the bigger one? And I'm just going to chunk them up, and then that way we can steam these today, stick them in the fridge overnight, and they'll be cold tomorrow to make some brownies or whatever with. So throw them in a steamer pot, and then I'll just keep on going and get this load going. Alrighty, so the potatoes are fork tender, so I'm going to just put them on the trays and then squish them like that, and then we're going to roast them up nice and crispy. So that will mean that the roasting time is heavily reduced because they're already mostly cooked. Now we're just going to make them crispy on the outside, and it really makes them quite creamy on the inside to have that twice baked factor. Some of them are a little more cooked than others. I'm getting a little overzealous with my smashing. I was going to do rice with the satay chicken and that, but I don't think I will, because I think I'll serve it with the potatoes. I don't know, because I sort of am mingling a couple of meals here, aren't I? Alright, I'm just going to do that many. What have we ended up with? 16 odd, which is plenty. And then I've got the rest here that I'm just going to refrigerate as parboiled, and then I can use them tomorrow. So all I'm going to do is drizzle a little bit of oil. I'll salt them lightly, get them in the oven, and then we can serve them with the pesto. I forgot to turn the camera on, but the sauce is as per the recipe. We've got the red curry paste, peanut butter, a sprinkle of sugar, some soy sauce, some salt, some alkaline vinegar, and then we'll add some water as needed. And all I'm going to do is get it on the stove and whisk it up. Oh, and a tin of coconut cream. And we'll get it on the stove, whisk it up until it thickens. And to go with the potatoes and the chicken, which I haven't cooked yet, I'm going to do some veggies. So what I'll do is I'll cut these up and put them aside, and then I will grab the chicken out, and I won't cook all of it. I'll probably only cook enough for tonight's meal, and the rest of it I can cook off tomorrow, just because I'm running out of daylight. It is already 20 past 5. We just have had a lot going on today, and I'm a bit behind. So this will probably be the end of this video too, is the satay, I think, because I'm pretty sure that with yesterday's video it would have been plenty. Now over the next couple of days I need to do the pork. So that's the plan, is to get the pork sorted over the next few days. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this cut up. I'm going to get the chicken cooked, and I'll show you it all when it comes out in the end. Alright, so first batch of chicken's cooked. I've got another batch going on, and the potatoes are done and crispy. So I'm going to probably need to thin this out a little so that it's drizzleable. It's thickened up in the fridge, so I've just added a little bit of olive oil to that. And I'm just going to put a little bit on each potato, because it's still not drizzable, but I'm over it. So there we go. We got pesto, smashed potatoes, the satay chicken, and the cauliflower and broccoli. That is dinner tonight.